What is up, EOS Nation? Welcome everyone to the Hot Sauce number 204, presented live on June 16th. EOS Hot Sauce delivers EOS facts straight to your brain every single week. And today we're pleased to have a very informative show for you guys. We're talking Firehose and Substreams technology is coming to Antelope. EOS EVM, DeFi growth, Multichain Airdrip, Neutroswap Spaces, EVM Name Service, and more. And we're going to wrap it up with, of course, some Pomelo Season 6 updates. Let's get right into it. We've got a big show to cover today. Pinax, unleashing the power of blockchain data. So we talked about this earlier on the previous Hot Sauce. Pinax is a new brand that is managed by the same team you guys know and love, the EOS Nation team. Pinax is our brand that we're using to promote and operate the Firehose and Substreams technology. So we're going to get into what that means in just a bit. But for now, we would love it if you guys would subscribe and like our Pinax Twitter account at Pinax Network, our Pinax YouTube channel, Pinax Network as well. And you can check out the latest video published on that channel, which is a presentation on Firehose and Substreams and how that is applicable to the Antelope ecosystem, to the EOS network. So here we can see a 27-minute presentation hosted by none other than the legendary Matthew Darwin, our Chief Infrastructure Officer. And so definitely encourage you guys to check out this presentation if today's show gets your curiosity piqued to learn more. So right now, I'm actually going to do this presentation real quickly, high level. We're going to skip some technical slides. We're going to try to get it done in about 10 to 15 minutes. So this show's going to be a bit longer than usual. Hope you've got your coffee. Hope you've got your snack. And let's jump into it. All right. So Pinax presentation on Firehose and Substreams for Antelope. Universal standards for Web3 data. So who is Pinax? Like I said, Pinax is a sub-brand within the EOS Nation team, and that's the brand we're using to promote Substreams and Firehose across Antelope ecosystem, the Graph ecosystem, and a bunch of other networks, which we'll showcase in just a bit. So today, this presentation contains how did we get here? Why is Firehose needed? Talking about Firehose architecture, what are substreams, what can you use Firehose and Substreams for, includes decentralized applications and for developers of all kinds, and some key takeaways at the end of the presentation. So right now, there are currently various history solutions available in the Antelope ecosystem. We run Diffuse, there's Hyperion, C32 has the B data, and so the Firehose and Substreams is the evolution of Diffuse, and it's coming to fix some of the challenges currently present with Diffuse. Diffuse is very expensive and it's one big monolith, and in order to have that history data through Diffuse, you need to download it all, and you can't kind of break it down in different modules, which Firehose and Substreams enables you to do. So we're talking about blockchain data for Web3, and the Firehose and Substreams is a new standard that's quickly being adopted across the Web3 developer community, and we want to make sure the Antelope ecosystem is included in there. So first of all, who builds Firehose and Substreams? Well, it's people you guys are probably familiar with. EOS Canada, one of the OG block producers on EOS, became Diffuse when they built the Diffuse system, which we operate on our bare metal hardware. And then eventually the Diffuse team got hired by the Graph network to continue developing this technology for the entire Web3 space, now through a company called Streaming Fast, which you may notice I'm repping their hat for the last couple of weeks. So shout out if any of you picked up on that in the recent Hot Sauce episodes. All right, so quick Firehose summary. Firehose is one data model framework for all blockchains. So regardless of the blockchain, whether it's Antelope, Ethereum, Near, or a bunch of others, basically the Firehose allows you to get all of that data under one model, one data model. Firehose, unlike Diffuse, is able to run on one single server, or if you want more performance, you can scale it across a large cluster of servers. It extracts all of that blockchain data from these various blockchain networks into flat files, and of course, it's all open source. So we're operating the Firehose and Substreams open source code on our bare metal hardware, and anyone else in the community can also do that to power their own apps. Or if you don't want to bother with running the Firehose and Substreams, you can get that data from Pinax and other providers of this technology. So why does Web3 need Firehose? Well, a blockchain can be considered as an ocean of data. And not only that, there are new oceans being created. There's new networks being created all the time, and there's more data in each of these networks. So the amount of data to manage is growing quite fast, and we need high performance technology to manage it all, to index it all, and to be able to serve it back to the dApp developers who need just a tiny slice of all of the data contained on their preferred blockchain network. So Firehose technology is kind of like a huge straw that allows you to suck in all of those blocks that you want from your preferred blockchain network very fast. So running this blockchain infrastructure is fairly hard. There's always hard forks and upgrades on these various networks. Chains work in different ways. Chains don't have common APIs, and scaling requires multiple clients. So Firehose provides a scalable and stable interface for all of these issues and needs. So Firehose and Substreams usability offers more flexibility for operators like us or you. It's more affordable, it's more reliable, it's easier to handle, and it's composable. So these are all pain points that currently dApp developers kind of encounter with Diffuse that have been the pain points have been removed, and a much better user experience is available through the Firehose and Substreams technology. So we're connecting Antelope to the rest of the Web3 world by integrating this new blockchain history data standard. So some of the chains that are currently supported by Firehose and Substreams: Ethereum, Solana, Arweave, Near, Aptos, BNB, Polygon, Cosmos, Osmosis, Juno, and now EOS, Wax, and Telos coming very soon. So Firehose architecture, for those of you who are more technically inclined, you can listen to Matthew talk about that. I'm going to quickly skip over these details and get to what are Substream. So Firehose and Substreams, you'll often hear these two technologies talked about together because they really are two pieces of the same puzzle. Firehose is the technology allows you to download all of these blocks from the blockchain very fast. Substreams is the technology that allows you to build on top of that data the stream of data that you need for your application. So you may not need all of the blockchain data, you only need a slice of it. And these substreams is kind of the way to build out this slice of data that you need, that your application can tap into to offer better user experience for your users. So a way to get specific information from Firehose is what substreams are. It's composable. Developers can build on top of each other's work. So if we build a substream for our use case, you're like, oh, that's very nice. I want to build on top of that because I only need half of that substreams or whatever it is. And so it's composable and people can build on top of each other, building on top of this open source code, which is what, you know, a lot of us are in blockchain for: open source, composability, building on top of each other's progress. Parameterizable, get specific details from a more generic substream. Transformable, so this allows you, when you get that data from your substreams, you can put it in whatever type of database you like to work with. And parallelizable, block data is processed in chunks and then merge, which means, like we said earlier, you can use one server or you can use a lot of server to get through that work much faster. Substreams architecture details for the tech-oriented out there, more technical jargon that I'm not too familiar with. And here's an example of all of the potential databases that your substream data can be imported into. So it's very, very flexible for developers. Substreams are composable, more tech stuff, more tech stuff. But substreams are very performant, 8 times faster. So stuff that took 2 months to index before, now with the Firehose and Substreams technology can take 1 week. So that's 8 times faster. And here we have a quote here from a user saying that he managed to process the entire history of Ethereum in 20 minutes using substreams. Let's fucking go. All right, what does it mean for dApps? Well, substreams powered dApps can take a variety of forms. Basically, you can use substreams to compose your own. You can stream data directly to a website in real time. So this is streaming blockchain data directly to your website or app. Generate Telegram alerts, for example, create operational dashboards in Prometheus and Grafana, and more complex apps. Basically, you can store whatever you need in a database and build custom applications on top of it. So some other examples. We're working on integrating Firehose substreams into Google Sheets. So for example, for you EOS native users out there, you could use this technology to download all the transactions from your account and, generate some accounting data for taxes and all of that good stuff. Chatbots on Telegram, like I mentioned, and then also enables to power a new type of web browser, the Geo browser, which is focused on Web3 applications and blockchains. In the future, substreams can power all sorts of dApps. There's really no limit. We're looking forward to seeing how developers are going to use this technology in ways that we can't even anticipate yet. GameFi, digital identity, DAO reputation systems, AR, VR, Web3 social media, tokenized real estate, and more. All right, so what does it mean for developers of all kinds? Well, for smart contract developers, allows you to stop doing some weird things to manage on-chain data, and instead you have the proper tools to query your data in your database. For data analysis, you can pull all the data you need into a data warehouse. So what do you want to do with this technology? You will need to learn a bit of Rust to create substreams, but from what Denis says, it's really not that bad. And once you have your data feed, you can use it for you can use whatever language you want to process it. JavaScript, TypeScript, Golang, Python, and more. And then you can do whatever you want with that data. And basically, substreams allows you, the developer, to test and get feedback more rapidly. Shorter development cycles leads you to deploy to market faster, leads me to have more cool stuff to play around with. So to recap, Firehose summary, it decouples the reads from the writes, is one data model for all blockchains, which avoids inconsistencies. There's data completeness. We are extracting all of the data into flat files, which gives us more granularity of data, including state changes, single source of truth for all data needed for any API, no more JSON or PC calls. Parallel processing on the server side to scale, like I mentioned before, and this is going to be powering the next generation of blockchain data APIs, and of course, it's open source. All right, so what's the end game here for Firehose and Substreams on EOS? Of course, it's bringing it to the EOS EVM. So EOS EVM plus Substreams equals empowering Web3 developers. The speed of EOS meets the robustness of Firehose and the flexibility of Substreams, because this technology was built for EOS originally. It's evolved over the last couple of years, of course, but the Streaming Fast team, originally EOS Canada, are very well familiar with the EOS architecture. And so this technology plays very well with the EOS network, even though the EOS network is very fast and has a lot of data available. Firehose Substreams can handle it, no problem. For now, however, the Substreams Firehose technology is not yet deployed on EOS EVM. We're working towards that goal. It is already deployed on EOS native. Now, this is not available to the public just yet. We're using it internally to build some prototypes, play around with the technology. And if you would like to play around and you would like to build technology, reach out to us, reach out to me or Denis or Matthew, and we can get you access to this technology so you can play around with it as well and get excited for the possibilities that this technology is going to bring dApp developers and eventually going to bring better user experiences for me and everyone else when we use these cool Web3 apps. All right, so there's lots more you can learn, of course. Like I said, check out the full presentation by Matthew, especially if you're more technically oriented. You'll learn a ton. Matthew was also with us on the fireside this week, going over this presentation as well. So there's another option for you. And there's even more learning materials about Firehose, about Substreams on our YouTube. May not be specifically catered to Antelope like this presentation, but still very relevant and still lots of good stuff to learn. Do you have any questions? Don't send them to me, send them to Denis or Matthew. These guys are the experts on our team, but you can send them out to me and I'll ping them on your behalf. So thank you for watching this presentation. Hopefully I did an okay job on it, and I think it went well. I think we covered the high level stuff, and even if you're not a technical person, hopefully you were able to appreciate a bit what Substreams is, what Firehose is, and maybe it got you a bit excited for the future potential that this technology is going to bring. All right, so let's move on to our next topic. ENV transferred 22 million EOS to Kraken. This happened yesterday or the day before, but don't worry, it's not just going to be market sold. Yves Larose, CEO and founder of the EOS Network Foundation, actually joined us on the fireside this week to explain a bit more about what this transfer is all about. Basically, the first fund of the EOS Network venture is ready to deploy some capital, invest in projects, and announce these investments. So this is what this token transfer is initiating. And Yves told us that in the next couple of weeks, we should hear news about the first investments that EOS Network Ventures, really the first truly EOS focused venture capital fund, is going to be investing in. So that's very exciting. Another small note that I want to highlight here is that Yves took the time to explain that when these transfers happen from ENF accounts to exchange accounts, it really doesn't mean that those tokens are going to be sold in the market. And they make sure of that, so that there's no way for the market to see a transfer and anticipate a big sell order, for example. So sometimes, these tokens are transferred for a wide range of reasons, so you can't necessarily anticipate that there's going to be a big sell order or whatever just because we see a token movement. So I think that's important. But if you want to learn more about this topic, definitely check out the fireside from this week. You can scroll over to about the 1 hour mark, which is when Yves joined us to give us more details on this topic. And, we ended up talking about this for about 20 minutes. So definitely lots more to cover there that I'm not covering today on the hot sauce. All right, moving on to EOS EVM updates. Of course, we've been doing updates on the EOS EVM pretty much every week. There's always new developments. It's really fun to see the excitement, the energy, the new projects that are deploying there, the new communities that are exploring our blockchain network. We love to see it. So the ENF published an article this week going over, kind of highlighting the ecosystem as it stands right now and giving you guys a great guide to exploring it. So I'm just going to read a quick blurb here from this article. Since its launch on April 16th, 2023, the EOS EVM ecosystem has opened up a new world of opportunities for those who wish to leverage the performance, the reliability, and the new fees on EOS from within the familiar EVM framework. As this next wave of social and financial capital enters the ecosystem, we are seeing a proliferation of developers looking to build their dApps on the EOS EVM. With new listings and resources being constantly added, it's a challenge to keep up with the latest development. So this article provides an overview of some of the notable projects and tools that are currently live. For example, wallets. We got CoinHub, Fox Wallet, Ledger, MetaMask, Rabby Wallet, and Token Pocket. Half of these I'd heard of and used before, the others I had not. So it's great to see new projects that I'm not aware of joining our ecosystem. There's bridges, of course. The EVM trustless bridge allows you to go from EOS native into the EOS EVM ecosystem. And then there's also bridges that are also cross-chain swaps as well, such as Multichain, which we'll be talking a bit more later, Meson.fi, and Rubik. And of course, we've got our classic DeFi dApps, some swaps. NoahSwap, Neutroswap, and Froggy Finance are kind of the three leading swap platforms. And I'll be talking a bit more about Neutroswap in just a bit, and Aave.ai as well. We got data aggregators also featuring the EOS EVM, which is great because now we can see the EOS activity and performance side by side with the other EVMs in the crypto ecosystem. So we're featured on DeFi Llama, Gecko Terminal, and the CoinMarketCap DEX scan. Very cool. So there's lots to explore in the EOS EVM ecosystem today. Check out the links in the show notes below, of course, if you want to find this article. And if you're interested on building on EOS, there's obviously lots of opportunity. Pomelo season 6 going on right now. There's an EVM pool. We'll be talking a bit about that later on. Of course, there's the direct grant framework, and as well, grants for up to 50K for projects that deploy on EOS EVM. So there's a form to fill out. You can receive up to $50,000 in incentives, along with marketing and dev support for qualifying projects, which is a nice additional perk than just the straight cold hard cash. And then, so let's move on here to some more details about projects in the EOS EVM ecosystem. Here we see the announcements of the Multichain EOS Airdrip campaign. So Multichain, of course, serves a lot of different EVMs. They have a lot of different tokens that you can move around on all these EVMs that is supported by Multichain. But there was a small issue. For example, a user moves over some USDT into the EOS EVM and wants to start playing around with the network with DeFi apps, whatever it is. But in order to do a transaction on the EOS EVM, you do need a tiny bit of gas, like 0.002 EOS, I think is what it cost me the last time I did a swap on the EOS EVM. So users with USDT could be kind of stuck, not able to make a transaction, not even able to trade some USDT for EOS because they need a bit of EOS for that gas fee, right? So that causes a bit of friction. So what we have here is a campaign that will automatically drop just a tiny bit of EOS to users who have no EOS in their account, and they're transferring in other assets into the EOS EVM, allowing them just enough gas to do a couple swaps and trade that USDT for a bit of EOS in order for them to have gas available for all the exploration that they want to do. So this is a very cool campaign. I think it's very important. And of course, anything that reduces friction for new users coming into the EOS EVM is good for the system. All right. Yesterday, I hosted an AMA along with Brandon Lovejoy of the ENF with Benny Maru, co-founder of Neutroswap, which is one of the top 2 leading swap protocols on the EOS EVM. Unfortunately, was not recorded on the Twitter Spaces, but there is a local recording that is going to be uploaded to YouTube and the podcast channel for the ENF, so stay tuned for that. I really enjoyed this AMA. I asked Benny Maru a bunch of questions. Some of them were hard hitting, and I really appreciated all the answers that he gave me. One thing that's very nice and refreshing is that this team is not completely anonymous. So they're not necessarily revealing their real names on social media, but they did confirm that they're doxxed with the ENF. So the ENF knows their true identity. They've been on webcams with their videos shared with some people from the community, etc. So of course they're taking some precautions, but in the end, it's not a full anon team, which always raises red flags for me when I'm considering being a liquidity provider in a new DeFi protocol. So stay tuned for that. And real quickly, here's the Neutroswap app that you get into. I tried out all of the features, leading up to the EMA, and everything just works. That's so nice when everything just works on the first time. There's, of course, your swap feature, and then there's liquidity pools if you want to add liquidity there. And then you can put your liquidity tokens in the farm to earn more rewards. And then there's a vault as well where you can just lock up your neutral for a specific amount of time in order to earn a return on that. And then they talked about the version 2 of Neutroswap that they're working on, which will add a lot of functionality and utility to the token. So definitely check out the interview with them when it goes live. All right, another project in EOS EVM that's been making a noise lately is the EVM Name Space. So this is another project, launching. I encourage you guys to support them by following them on Twitter, liking, retweeting their posts. Here they're working, they've got a little logo competition going on where you can win a bit of USDT by participating in voting. So definitely encourage you guys to check that out. And finally, the last topic of EOS EVM for today. If you're looking to learn more about the EVM, The webinar is published, hosted by Zysan and the EOS Network Foundation. We got some heavy hitter devs on this webinar ready to teach you all about the EOS EVM. It's 1 hour long. Here we see a 4-minute highlight clip, but you can click the link here and access the full webinar if you want to. All right, let's wrap it up with our last topic of the day. Pomelo Season 6 in full swing. Applications are still open until June 21st, so you got 5 more days from when this goes live to submit your application. Donations are still open for a week and a half. If you have an application that's approved, definitely join our Pomelo Season 6 pitch sessions. So you can see the Google Doc here, the Google form here. You can access that Google form through the Pomelo Twitter profile. The link is right there in the profile in case you don't have access to it. And you can apply for pitch sessions. There's an English one on Twitter Spaces. There's a Korean one, a Chinese one as well, on top of the Fireside rapid fire pitch session that's going on next week. So June 21st, 3 p.m. Eastern, EOS Community Fireside Chat. Everyone who has an approved grant can just show up. You don't need to sign up in advance. You'll have 30 seconds to do your pitch. We hope to see a lot of you there. Last season we did this. It was actually super fun. One of my favorite firesides. So many community members coming together, all sharing the great stuff that they're working on and allowing all of us to support the projects we love on EOS, on Antelope, and on Telos now with our multi-chain and multi-pool options available in Season 6. So in case you weren't aware, there's 4 pools this season on Pomelo. Everything EOS 28,000, GameFi 65,000, EVM 65,000, and Telos 24,000. So your grant fits into one of these pools. And right now, let me just share a bit of stats with you. So the Everything EOS pool has 67 applications so far submitted to it, 53 approved. GameFi, 20 submitted, 12 approved. EVM, 31 submitted, 20 approved. And Telos, 21 submitted, 17 approved. So we can see, if you've got a GameFi project, there's not that much competition. Right now, only 12 projects are approved, competing for $65,000. So that's some good odds if you've got a GameFi project. EVM as well, Telos as well. Not as many applications there as the Everything EOS pool, which was to be expected. And finally, hot sauce amplified. Of course, this hot sauce is financed in part by Pomelo. So we definitely appreciate donations. Our grant was approved this week. Got a few donations already coming in. We'll be promoting it more over the next week and a half, but we definitely appreciate your support. Send us 1 EOS, send us 10 EOS, send us 100 EOS if you really love us, but any amount of donation is appreciated, and we're gonna continue doing the hot sauce, but this extra financing for the hot sauce, definitely very important for us to continue doing in the future. Let's get to 300 hot sauce shows. We're up to 200 now. How hard is it gonna be to get to 300? Pomelo financing, your donations is going to help us get there. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for this week. Hope you enjoyed this show. Hope you learned something about Substreams and Firehose. And until next week, let's keep it spicy.